Hello, everybody. I'm Mike from the Rewatch Project and ChinStroker versus Punter podcasts, and I am a Trekkie watching classic Doctor Who for the first time. That's right, I've gone right back to the very beginning, the origins of the show in the early 60s, starring William Hartnell, and I am on the third episode of the Daleks serial, namely the episode The Escape. Thank you, by the way, to all of the feedbackers on YouTube, all of the commentators there who have given me a little bit of extra context about the show, particularly around the naming conventions. Grouped storylines are generally referred to as serials. That's my understanding of that. So thank you very much for clarifying that. And again, thank you for all of those who are feeding back on the comment section. I really appreciate that. And sharing, promoting, mentioning it on message boards or in Doctor Who fan pages means there will be more viewers, there will be more comments, and that will motivate me to do more recording. However, I don't want to mess around anymore. I'm really into this. We're in the Daleks. We've been introduced to them properly. Let's see what happens next in the mythology of this show that I feel that I know a little bit about just from it being out there in the zeitgeist. But I think I say on the last video that I'm a big fan of a lot of sci-fi and a lot of genre film and television. I know a fair bit, it's fair to say, I think, about Star Wars, Star Trek, Twin Peaks, The X-Files, a number of franchises, but there is a TARDIS-shaped gap in my knowledge, namely in the case of Doctor Who, so I'm hoping to rectify that, but I am going into this with very little knowledge. Yeah, this is all new to me, so it's very exciting, so yeah, let's go. Oh, and thank you, by the way, to those on the comments who clarified my questions about the doors not showing externally in the same way they are internally, and apparently how that's part of the chameleon technology that the TARDIS uses. Oh, is this the Thal? I believe they were called. Name checked in the last episode.
You're not.
Hideous Mutations, was it?
I tried to speak to you in the forest yesterday, but I frightened you.
Arian took about them.
You mean you haven't taken them yet, but you must.
Could have left a note. You see, the TARDIS. I want to go in the TARDIS. Okay, and I don't mean a replica. I don't mean something at a convention. I mean, literally, I want to walk through the doors of the TARDIS and have it being bigger on the inside. And, you know, there's something primal, I think, particularly to children, about the promise and the design of the TARDIS. You know, this sort of, I suppose it's this C.S. Lewis-esque promise and allure of the possibility and, you know, the endless storytelling opportunity. And I think that there's something on a primal level very tremendously appealing about that. You know, wanting to look through the keyhole or go through the wardrobe into Narnia, I think is some kind of instinctive desire for people, particularly children or those who are very much in touch with their imagination. And I just think that on a psychological level, the popularity and the enduring nature and the iconographic power of the TARDIS is in some way connected to that. I want to go in the TARDIS, is what I'm saying.
There are 4 of you, I know that. I watched you. But
The Dalek
do
people.
they live in that dead city?
Well,
Interesting.
Anyway.
Choice of words.
Daleks want the drugs too, and they won't let us go until I bring them back to them.
But why should they want the drugs? Surely they must have some themselves if they're still alive.
Good questions.
Do you trust them?
No,
No.
well, I'm not sure.
There's just something about them.
I left for you. I shall give you a further supply, which you must hide as best you can.
Secret stash.
Do you trust me?
Your Aryan superior.
Yes.
You see, this is interesting because if this was Star Trek, and I don't think they're going to go here from, I guess, my meta knowledge of the Daleks. If this was Star Trek, they'd do a kind of bait and switch here. I think it would be that actually these seemingly, you know, helpful, human-like beings actually turn out to be the villains, and that assuming that the Daleks were the villainous side in this battle is exposing a human frailty, you know, the need to anthropomorphize and the familiar, I guess. I don't think that's where they're going here. But I can't help, as a Star Trek fan, who, you know, watches these things and tries to get ahead of the story a little bit, think that that was what they'd be playing if this was a Star Trek episode.
I am Aladdin of the Thal race.
Aladdin.
I shall go with you through the forest. What must they be like?
Oh, the plot thickens. Going to get a bit of backstory on the Daleks here, maybe?
I have returned the girl to the cell. Very well. They are asking for water.
It's funny, I mentioned on the last episode, and I was being glib, but there's an element of truth here, about the intensity levels of the Daleks, you know, the fact that they're always up at 11. And it's not strictly true. There are degrees of intensity, but for the most part, you know, they are, you know, exterminate. You know, that's what we think of when we think of the Daleks. And I can't help but think that because they're such a primal representation of a fascistic force, that maybe some of that comes from some of the real life recordings that we've got of fascistic figures from history, and the intensity of those speeches and the whole cult of personality element of it. The fact that, you know, when you see that footage of Hitler, you know, that was parodied by Chaplin in The Great Dictator, for example, I wonder if maybe on some conscious or unconscious level that was an influence here on that pitch, that cadence, that sort of intense timbre that the Daleks usually have. I've got absolutely no basis in fact for that, but I'd be curious to know if that was something that's ever been discussed or indeed revealed from the creatives behind the Daleks.
Give them some.
Think they're mutations? I don't know.
Maybe
Judging by Aladdin,
to the Daleks they are.
Go back to the ship.
No, we're still prisoners.
Oh, are we? Oh, yes.
Bugger.
Oh, we must leave here soon.
No, wait, we must try and find a way of helping the Thals.
We can't even help ourselves. Locked up in here like this.
I think there's a little bit as well of maybe Susan being the 60s idealist. You know, we've seen that she's part of that kind of, you know, beat generation. And, you know, they were very much, I guess, in the early stages of activism was a new thing. The idea of the teenager was a new thing as well. And her sort of idealized view of the world and the need to help and contribute is an interesting facet of her character. I'm curious, you know, the way that this was produced, you know, in the same way, essentially as a live event with some minimal post-production. I'm curious how the sound was done. Would there have been ADR in here, or would this all have been captured live? I mean, that must be a challenge, an extreme challenge, I'd imagine as well. I mean, I know that the music and some of, I think, of the optical credits or title cards were done in post-production, but I do wonder where sound fits into that, because just the noise of a live studio environment must have created a lot of challenges. But we do know, of course, that those dialogue flubs are there as well, so that suggests that it was kind of a one take, and that it would have to be something exceptional that would require things to shut down. You know, time is money and all that.
If they agree to supply...
It's pizza delivery, Dalek. Hey, I got to say actually that I mentioned this briefly on the last episode, but this kind of German expressionistic design aesthetic to the building, this kind of utilitarian, almost Kafka-esque, you know, Dutch angles, super functional, no nonsense, really tells you a lot about the Daleks and about their culture and about their seemingly controlling fascist bureaucracy. It looks like a building that people of that ilk would exist. Wow, looks like something out of a Motley Crue video. It is an Aryan outpost, isn't it?
Oh, what is it, Timothy?
Science and invention, their profession.
See, this is really interesting, the idea that there could have been this war and that over time the one side has become something else, and the feeling that maybe the other side could have changed, and viewing each other from a distance and seeing them evolve in technology. It's like a Cold War situation, you know, where it's, do we really know what's going on the other side of the wall? That's kind of a fascinating science fiction conceit, really. And I'm curious to see where this is going.
Learn from them.
It's an idealist,
Perhaps.
like Susan.
These others, they arrived here in this... How unusual. Where is the girl now? I have given her the drugs and
Condescending.
she has returned to the city.
have been better if you'd given it to a man instead of a girl.
But I had no chance. They're prisoners in the city. No longer a child, not yet a woman.
Ah, then perhaps
It's a Britney Spears song, isn't it?
If amen.
Like the caveman politics all over again.
But don't you realize that
Unlimited quantities of
Wow, it's like a high-stress secretarial position there, isn't it?
artificial sunlight.
Just a minute.
Hostile work environment.
Them I can't accept for them.
Very impatient.
Put down that we expect.
Oh, he's using his plunger.
What is the last word here?
The last word.
So, son, stop that noise.
Doesn't like being laughed at, does he?
It's what I'm
Can
called.
dish it out, but can't take it.
My name.
Don't you laugh at me.
Susan.
And you told
Surprised he didn't get aggressive about being called frightened then.
Why not?
A touchy Dalek, this one.
it does not matter.
Oh, she's
We have the best
figuring it out.
now.
How dare you, sir? Boom.
did I hurt you? Don't waste time. Fix you for a while.
It's nice to see them working together. They're actually starting to feel like a unit.
Accidentally in their struggle. No.
I like the way the camera has the same design aesthetic as other elements of the Dalek as well. Very consistent.
Can be moved extermination. Then
He said the thing.
no escape from the
Kind of.
room that holds them.
We must all pretend to be dead.
I like they're starting to look a bit dishevelled because, I mean, they've not arrested. They've been up the whole time, haven't they, since their first adventure started?
We must find a way
Getting
of
captured.
putting these machines out of action.
All the floors are metal.
Well, so are the streets of the city.
Oh, like trams.
I don't know.
No, I know you don't know. I mean, why do they use metal? Is it because that it lasts longer or because it's essential to them?
I know. A fairground.
So how would that work later then? I mean, I know just from, my meta knowledge that we see the Daleks in other environments. So is that something that changes or evolves or just kind of gets swept under the carpet about them? This idea that they need, the Dodgems, bumper cars, as we called them when I was a kid, needing to have that connection. Curious to see if that gets addressed.
Yes, just a minute.
Where they can see all around them.
Yes. Their eye is flexible like a large camera lens.
Yes. Now, Chesterton, do you mind concentrating?
That's a
on
cool
that?
idea. Sort of
Susan.
almost VR 360 vision.
Gave you.
Yes.
I don't know.
One thing I'd be wondering, this might be me overthinking this, but is it said at any point what subjects the two teachers teach? Because obviously, the fact, the educational mandate of the show, the fact that a lot of the show's about knowledge, secret knowledge, the sharing of knowledge, acquisition of knowledge, that the subjects that they study, if they were subject specialists, feels like something that could be meaningful. Because obviously they're using that here. They're using the fact that they're teachers to think through these situations. So I feel like so much of the other elements of the show that have things to do with education and the figure of the teacher, that must have some significance. I'll be curious to see if that is mentioned. And if it has already and I've missed it, please let me know in the comments.
Apart from the floor. This is a perfect way of
See,
putting it out of
I'm really digging seeing them coming together and how shared experience and problem solving is making them congeal as a team.
They found a magnetron under some bushes.
Dead, I hope feet can be turned to victory.
Very theatrical, prosaic writing.
Well, what does it say?
Good catch. Particularly on this, just very mindful of how long the takes on this thing must be and how you want to get everything right. Then I just kept going if she hadn't have caught that.
I'm ready.
How's the man?
Design of Hartnell's hair really does add to the iconic power of this character. Oh. Have that. It's when they get kind of hysterical that the Daleks are at their most terrifying. Because although they have robotic traits, they're really emotional. Oh dear. Oh, so it doesn't just power their movement.
Must be a catch here somewhere.
Oh, are they going to open it?
Susan, Barbara. Go in the corridor and keep a lookout.
Is it something too crazy for the ladies to handle? Is that what we're saying here?
You'll have to help me.
Come on, let us see what's in there. What's in the box?
Let's run it off the cloak. All right.
Don't break the expensive prop.
Give me the cloak. That's it.
What is it, like a little person, or like in Men in Black? I don't know.
All clear in the corridor?
Disguise himself as a.
I think there's a sentry down the other end of the corridor. Well, they made such a terrible
So much energy now they're all working together. It really was, I think, what was missing so far.
Not much room for my legs, but try the top. Here. Barbara, Susan, give me a hand. Lift down gently. How is it?
It's very cramped indeed.
Oh, can't you sound more like a Dalek?
Yes, in a monotone. You've heard them.
Do you mean that?
That's it.
Can you see all right?
No.
It's very strange hearing a Dalek being un-Dalek-y.
The mud off the lens.
Dalek-ish.
Yes, I can see now. I can't make this thing move. It's full of controls.
Ian the Dalek. Oh dear. Oh my gosh. It's alive. The ambush is next. Yeah, that was great fun. I'm really enjoying learning about the Daleks. It's something that I've not, I know exterminate. I know what they look like. I know the voices. I remember Davros, but that's it. That's all I understand. So I'm getting all of this for the first time, and it's really great seeing this unfold. Also, I think that I mentioned several times, but I think that the troupe of actors, the leads, now they are actually getting to work together, really are starting to congeal and feel much more energetic and likable, and it's moving things along. The stuff with the Thals, again, I think maybe when we spend a little bit too much time with the secondary characters, it's not as interesting. But again, there's a number of episodes still to go on this one. I'm not sure how many it is. I'll know when it ends, I guess, because I'm trying to avoid spoilers by looking ahead. So I don't know kind of where that goes, so I'm not going to judge you too much. But this idea of these warring factions and time and how they change and what that means, and observing the enemy evolve from a distance, I think has something really interesting in it. And also just more Daleks. I think that the power of them as a representation of the fascist and the faceless, bureaucratic, again, Kafkaesque, oppressive world, Orwellian oppressive world, is the absolute antithesis of the open window of possibilities. That C.S. Lewis-esque, the world at your doorstep view of the Doctor and Susan is really interesting. And a lot of fun in this episode, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes, and I hope you come along with me. And if you have any feedback, then please do feel free to comment, and I'll try and reply to as many of those. But it's great to see the conversation going, and it's so far been really super friendly and super collegial and amicable, and I'm enjoying it. So we'll keep going soon, and we will be back to watch The Ambush, the next part of the Dalek serial, very soon. So should be another one of these out with you in the next couple of days. Thanks, bye.